Thank you for joining us today on our first ever episode of Journey Beyond with Bonsai Stays. Today we're here with Cathy Lane, who happens to be the owner and founder of Board the Boat here in Wasaga Beach. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
We're here to just kind of learn a bit more about you and your journey throughout the industry and kind of what you've done here at this beautiful property that I visited so many times, and so exciting to see all the changes you've made over the years.
Great.
Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome.
So, why don't you tell us a bit more about your journey? Where you started, what you've done, and kind of what brought you to doing an Airbnb?
Okay. Well, I purchased this house originally with the thought that I would have long-term rentals.
Right.
And then sort of halfway through the renovations, I decided that's not the direction that I wanted to go and fell into the Airbnb world. And I really like it. It's a really interesting platform for me to work with. I have a lot of international visitors. I have a lot of local visitors. I have a lot of very interesting people, and it's just a really fun industry to be involved in.
Great. And what were you doing before this?
I was an event designer.
Okay.
Yeah, so totally different business, but it's sort of the same in one sense. It's a hospitality based business as well. So, the idea is always to make whoever's coming, whether it's a client or whether it's a guest, to make sure that w- there's time is spent and it's very special to them. So, that's kind of my forte. So, I try to make the spaces as enjoyable as possible for them.
hmm And you have, with over 1,000 five-star reviews,
Thank you.
the results really speak for themselves.
Thank you.
And your property here, you decided to call Board the Boat. Why Board the Boat?
Oh, that's a really good question. Board the boat, bread and breakfast, and there's no
Yeah.
breakfast. So it is a good question. I think the architecture of the building really lent itself to looking like a boat shape.
hmm
It's a Viceroy house, so the front of it's pointy, and the proximity to the lake. And also, there's a historical content with Collingwood. We're very close to Collingwood. It has a big shipyard industry. That's the way that it's claimed to fame, as well as Wasaga Beach as well. So the boating industry and the marine life is very prominent here, so I just decided to call it Board the Boat. So you're not getting on a boat.
That's good.
Yeah.
I definitely have a lot of boat sickness, so I'm glad to hear that. So here in this house, you actually broke it up into four different environments.
Right.
What I really like about this house is that you somehow took the theme of boats,
Mhm.
but you've replicated four different themes and feels for the property.
Right.
How did you think about tying in the boat theme without making it overly tacky, and creating four different environments for your guests where they can come and stay at a different
Right.
place each
Yeah.
time?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I think that's kind of part of, again, my background is I'm really good at working with spaces and creating an environment with it being very comfortable and working a lot with the same materials. So in each of the studios, you have a lot of wood, you have a lot of very natural elements, but they're combined in different ways. So my feeling is that different guests have got different ideas of how they'd like to spend their time. So one studio is very modern, very crisp, very clean, very white, lots of reflections. Another studio is almost like a cabin. So a lot of wood, a lot of older elements, which are kind of interesting. So 100-year-old shutters are used there, an old marine sign, without again being too, antique feel. I didn't want that feeling. I didn't want it feeling like you're walking into a museum. The upstairs is maybe more of a cottage feel. You've got a lot of wood, but it's all whitewashed wood. You've got shakes in there. And again, as you mentioned, a lot of the nod to the nautical. So, there's little elements in there which state, again, the boat theme. So, paddles are used as coat hooks. A marine sign is used as a headboard, that type of thing. And then the last studio that I haven't mentioned is the studio that we're in, which is called the captain's quarters. And again, each of the rooms have got the boat theme to it. So the captain's quarters, again, is very subtle in terms of its nautical elements.
Nice. And I know there's a lot of hosts out there that might find it intimidating to get in the industry.
Hmm.
And seeing a place like yours, it looks quite complicated and like it takes a lot of work to do this,
Mhm.
but you
Mhm.
seem to have done it. So, what
Yeah.
kind of advice would you have for all these people that are
Um,
maybe too scared to get into it?
right. I think that the house has to be set up in a way that it's not interfering with your personal life, and also that the guests, for myself, I mean, there's a lot of Airbnb platforms where the guests do intermingle with the host. So, for instance, they have the same entrance, that sort of thing. So, I think you have to kind of analyze your lifestyle and what you want. For me, I wanted to make sure that the guests could be completely separate. They've got their own entrances, they've got their own bathroom, they've got their own kitchen, they've got their own living quarters, they've got everything that they need. If they need me, I'm very close by, but I don't intermingle with them. I'm not in their space at all. For me, that's the best thing. If I've got guests that come and they bring their friends, then different studios can be opened up so that they can have that co-mingling, which is great. So I designed the house that it can do a lot of different modules very, very well,
Mhm.
and it's worked for me amazingly well.
So your backyard actually is one of the big selling points
Mhm.
here. I know it's changed a lot over the years. The first time I came here, it looked nothing like
A
it does.
disaster is the word you're looking for. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so why don't you elaborate a bit more on like the journey that you've had with revamping your backyard and how you've used it as a selling point for your
Sure.
property?
Yeah. So one of the things I think is really interesting for the homeowner is, not to look at what they've got, but what it could be. And the backyard is a great example, Daniel, of all of that. So originally it was well, it was a disaster. This was a rental house prior to me purchasing it. So it was really bad. But I think one of the things that homeowners that are looking to an Airbnb platform to increase their income is to look at what it could be. And for me, it was a great installation. The backyard is used nonstop. The hot tub is a huge commodity to add in terms of bringing people in. They look for that. I didn't really realize that before I put the hot tub in, how big of a feature it really is. So that was a really good thing for me in terms of long range planning. It does increase the profitability of the house. So, the value of the house obviously increases. So you're not just looking at what you're doing for guests, you're looking at building your equity in the house. So it worked very, very well.
And that was actually another question of mine. Actually, you've added a sauna, a
Mhm.
hot tub.
Mhm.
You have a platform there where you can do yoga, and you
Mhm.
have brought in yogis before to do
Mhm.
lessons with your
Right.
guests. So I feel like now on Airbnb's platform, these are very key words to add to
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
marketing plan. How do
Right.
you see these different amenities? How have they boosted your revenue and your reservations over the years since
It's
having them?
substantially, really, because you can get on to different screening processes. So, if you're a guest and you're specifically looking for things, then my property will pop up,
Mhm.
and I think that that's really important. You mentioned the yoga pad, so for something like the yoga pad, it's not singular use. It's not just used for that. I can advertise it as a platform for weddings. It can be used for musical events. It can be used for plays. It can be used for any sort of celebration. It's a really nice gathering spot, or it could just be an exercise platform for people that are coming in. So, if you're looking at it for hosts that are looking again to increase the profitability of their house, then that sort of model is really good. How many ways can one thing be used?
That's a really good point. And you've definitely changed your property a lot over the years. And one of
Hmm.
the things you've changed is buying some of our products,
Hmm.
actually. And I know that you mentioned last time I was here that you've actually won an award locally
Right.
for being an eco friendly property.
Hmm.
And one of the contributing factors was offering our air collection towels,
Hmm.
which are eco-friendly and dry quicker.
Right.
Would you want mind elaborating more on the change that you've seen with our
Sure.
products in your property and
Yeah.
the guest experience?
Certainly. So one of the great things about you, Daniel, is that you come in. I think the thing that's really difficult for people that are new in the industry is to understand exactly how hosts and guests interact. If you are just a person that has visitors, it's a very different experience. So, one of the things we were talking about was the towels. So there's a lot of things that are really great about the towels. One is I liked where they're manufactured. So, you talked about that. and child labor, things like that. That they're very uh, labor friendly, if that's a good word to use. They use sustainability as part of their platform, which was interesting to me. The other thing that's really good in terms of a host is that they wash extremely well, they dry very, very quickly, and they retain their beautiful looks, like they're a beautiful towel. So not only is the process more sustainable, it's better for me in terms of time management, that I can get them through the wash and dryer cycle very quickly as opposed to a very heavy, dense towel. I also like the lifespan of the towel. They get better the more you use them, whereas a lot of towels get a little bit hard
Mhm.
after sustained use. And again, if you're just a household person, you might not wash as often as I do. I wash a lot daily. Those towels get washed. So to have something that's industry standard is really important. And I think the educational piece that you bring to Airbnb hosts is really important, because you usually are working with people who are not in the industry, so they need to be educated about things like that. And you certainly brought that to my attention, is there's different ways of doing things better, and I really appreciated that. So that's one of the reasons I stayed with you.
It's great to hear that. Yeah, that's why we started, and that's one of our focuses is to bring some knowledge to some of the newer Airbnb hosts. So I'm
Hmm.
glad that that was very valuable to you.
Hmm.
So I know you've also added our soap dispensers, and
Right.
you went to bulk dispensers instead of individual.
Right.
That's also very eco-friendly.
Right.
And how has that been as an experience to you?
Again, kind of coming back to just being a person that's having visitors over, you might not think of soap dispensers and things like that. So, again, you brought that to my attention, that this might be something that I'd be interested in doing. In terms of presentation of, I know this sounds bizarre, but in terms of a tub, not having a whole bunch of different bottles, especially when they're half empty and that sort of thing, it makes it very cluttered. And what you really want is a really nice, clean look. So having a dispenser really helped. But the other part of that is that I use a lot less plastics.
Hmm.
So you don't have that waste. And the other thing is I can buy in bulk. So I can buy the products that I want. I can just fill them and they look nice and clean, and I save money and I can use all the products that I want. So it's absolutely perfect.
And I know you have bought locally
Mm-hmm.
from a local soap
Mm-hmm.
manufacturer. So, how do you feel the local aspect of promoting local businesses
Mm-hmm.
and promoting local service providers is
Mm-hmm.
for your Airbnb and for the local economy and
Right.
Airbnb as
Yeah.
a whole?
Yeah. Thank you. That's a really good question. Because especially since Airbnb is getting a lot of negative press, I think that that's a really positive part. We're really invested in our community, so trying to support each other is really important to us. And an Airbnb allows us to do that. And I really do try to bring in different events. I try to buy local as much as I can. I cross promote a lot of the different tourist industries, the local beer company, the local produce we buy from, the local soap, all those sorts of things. So it's really good. I think we do bring a lot to the community. We also host speakers, guest speakers that are doing charitable events here. So it is a really good community. Um, Mandate I have for this area. So I think that's one thing that's different from an Airbnb versus a long term rental. Let's say is that sort of integration.
Hmm. So thanks for your time today, Kathy.
You're
And
welcome.
as a small gift of appreciation from us for being our first guest on the show, we actually got you something that we're actually launching this year. We're going to be launching bathrobes and
Oh, wonderful!
customization.
Oh,
So
great!
this year is the year of customization at Bonsai. We're going to
Oh,
start
great!
launching that service. You'll be able to give us your logo, and we can customize robes, your towels, your sheets, anything like that that you want your customized
Wonderful!
logo. So
Wow!
there you go.
Oh, thank you. Oh, they feel so nice. That's amazing. Well, I always comment on all of the quality. So my guests would absolutely love this. Thank you so much.
No
That's
worries.
great.
We're always looking for new things to add to our platform, and we've
Oh,
gotten a lot of requests for bathrobes. So
bathrobes are a big part of it, that's for sure. And I love the idea of logoing everything, a whole other level. That's for sure. It looks makes it look very professional. Thank you so much.
branding is definitely something that's important and
Yeah.
something we'll be discussing on our channel in the
Oh,
future as
great.
well. So
Oh, good. Well, you've always have so many really good ideas, so I always look forward to talking to you about, how to improve the whole experience for myself and for the guests and all kinds of things that I really don't have time to research. So it's really nice to have somebody like yourself that's been a huge part of the hospitality industry, and to bring all that knowledge to somebody like me. I really appreciate it, and I love the way that you're very one-on-one, and just bringing my product right back up to the very top. So I really appreciate all that.
it's been a pleasure, Cathy.
Good.
So now we're actually going to go on a tour with Cathy around her property. So come with us and join us in part 2 of this video for a tour of Board the Boat in Wasaga Beach, Canada.